Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this notched collar Bubu shirt gown. It has a cuff at the down part here, as you can see, and it also has an ashoke pocket by the side right here, as you can see it here. Okay, so if you're interested in learning how to make this, please come on and let's get into the tutorial. Do not forget to subscribe, like and share my video. In case you find this video helpful, let's get started. I have my fabric on a fold of 2 like so, and I'm going to be cutting the back part first. Okay, so I'll be making use of the shoulder length of 15, so, and the length of my gown is 40 inches. Okay, so this part here, I'm going to mark my ½ inch starting line, which is going to be my shoulder sewing allowance. All right, so once I'm done with that, I'm going to mark the neck width of 3 inches for the back, and I'm going to also mark 1 inch for the neck depth. All right, so I'll mark it like so, and I'm just going to shape it out like so. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement. So the shoulder measurement I'm working with here is 15 inches because I'm still going to be joining another sleeve. Okay, so if you do not want to join another sleeve, you can make use of your entire fabric that you have on this part here. Okay, so I'll just mark 15 inches, and I'm going to mark my 1 inch shoulder slope, and I'll come down, then I'll connect it to the neckline like so. I hope you understand. You can make use of your entire fabric on a fold like this. So I want to add another sleeve. I want the sleeve to be longer, so I'll mark my sleeve opening of 10 inches. You can mark your preferred sleeve opening at this point. All right, so I'm going to mark it like this so I can get a straight line, and I'm going to connect the line on a straight line like so, as you can see me doing. Okay, after marking it like so, the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark it like this, and I'm going to get my bust round on the armhole line. I hope you understand. On the armhole line like this, I'll mark my bust round, and I'm going to bust round divided by 4, and I'm just going to mark it right here like so. Then I'll add about 3 inches allowance here. You can add whatever you wish. Okay, so once I'm done with that, now I'm going to measure what I have here, and I'll mark the same value at the down parts. I hope you understand. So like I said earlier, the length of my gown is 40 inches. So I'll mark it like so, and once I'm done with that, next thing I'm going to do is to just curve it like this. That is if I am not adding any allowance. So I'm going to add 1 inch allowance for me to sew all the way down. Okay, so I'm just going to connect it all the way down just like so. So once I'm through with that, now I'm going to come to the shoulder here, and I'm going to cut with my ½ inch sewing allowance all the way. I'm not going to cut out the neckline yet. I'm just going to cut out only the shoulder, and I'm going to leave it like so. Then I'll bring my fabric for the front part. I'll place it like that, and I'm going to unfold of 2 just the same way I did for the back part. Then I marked about 1.5 inches here. I hope you can see. I marked 1.5 inches here for my button placket and the notch collar extension all the way down. I marked 1.5 inches all the way down. So once I'm through with that, I'm going to place the back part starting from the line, from the 1.5 inches, and I'm going to just mark the neck, 3 inches neck width right here on the front as well. And then I'm going to mark the neck depth of 3 inches as well, like so. And I'm going to connect it, make a curve like this. So if you cannot make use of a free hand, please make use of your pattern, your curved ruler, so you can get a perfect neckline. Okay, so just curve it inward like so. Then I'm going to come from this part here and mark my neck depth for my notch collar. You can mark your preferred notch collar depth. Okay, so mine is 7 inches, and I've marked it like so. So from here now, I'm going to mark ½ inch from the midpoint, which is the folded part here, I'll mark ½ inch inward. Then I'm going to have this 1 inch here for the I'm going to have it for the bottom placket, and I'm going to mark ½ inch right here up until this part here. Okay, so I mark my 5 inch, my ½ inch up until this part here. Then what I'm going to do now is mark that 7 inches here. So from that 7 inches line, I'm going to make a slant from this part here up onto that 7 inches line. Okay, so I hope you understand. That is for the extension of the notch collar. I hope you understand. So I'm going to cut out this ½ inch now. I hope you understand. So I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to stop at the 7 inches. Then I'll curve it out like this. I'll cut it slanted out like this. I hope you understand. So once I'm done with that now, I'm going to come down by ½ inch from on this part here. I'll mark ½ inch down, then I will cut it now like so. Cut out the neckline like so. I hope you understand. So once I'm through with that now, I'm going to place the back part on it. Then I'm going to use the back part to cut out the front part. I hope you understand. Okay, so I'll cut it out the shoulder slope. I'll cut it out to make it the same. Then I'll also cut out the side. I hope you understand now. So I'm going to cut out the sides also like this. If you are a beginner, just continue to watch. So please, I want to tell you that I want you to subscribe to my channel, give my video a thumbs up. It means a whole lot to me. And comment and let me know what you think. So I'm going to cut out the back neckline now, and here is what I have. So this is the front and the back part. Okay, so once I'm done with that now, the next thing I'm going to do is to come here and notch on this 1.5 inches mark that we have here. It is now 1 inch. I'm going to notch on that area. Then I'm going to cut out a facing of about 7 inches, and I'm going to place it on only the front part, the two sides of the front part. I'll place it right side facing each other like so. Then I'm going to use it to cut it out. Okay, it's a facing. I'm going to cut it up until this. It's going to be the same length with the gown. All right, then I'm going to shape the neckline like so, and also the notched area. I hope you understand. So I'm going to shape everything and make sure that it is the same. I hope you understand. So once I'm through with that, I'm going to repeat the same thing for the second side. Then I'll come here on that notched part that I just made. I'll come down by ½ inch, and I'm going to notch it up until that ½ inch, just like this. Make sure you notch it up until the ½ inch like this. Then I'm going to start stitching from this part here. I'll stitch down, then I'll stitch all the way down with ½ inch like so. I hope you understand. So just stitch it all the way down with ½ inch like so. And you're going to repeat the same thing for the second side. So on this part here, you can weave the edge then, or you can just fold it in like this and top stitch on it. So you are top stitching towards the wrong side. Okay, I hope you understand. You're top stitching toward the wrong side. All right, so I also have a notch collar top with a flare that I taught, and I'll drop the link on the comment section so you can see and check it out as well. So here's what I have after I was done. You can see after turning into the right side. So here is what you can add your stay to this part as well, then you can use your hemming gum to finish it up, okay, and iron it down. So you should have something like this by the time you are done. I hope you understand. So you should have something like this, and the notch collar should be like this. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark from this part here on the right side. I'll mark about my half length plus 1 inch. Then I'll make a mark on it like this for my pocket. So I have this pocket here now that has a fringe. Then the length of the pocket here is about 9 inches, and the width is about 8 inches as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to mark 1 inch from the upper part like so. I'll mark 1 inch like so. Then I'm going to fold in this 1 inch like this. I'll fold it towards the wrong side, and then I'm going to also fold the edge. I'll also fold the edge and then top stitch it, okay, just to push in the rough edge on this side, and I'll just top stitch on it. I hope you understand. Then once I'm through with that, this is what I have. Then I'm just going to place it on the line that I've just marked. Then I'll come in by 5 inches on this part here. I'll come in by 5 inches from the midpoint, which is where we have our button placket, okay. So I'll come in like so, and I'm going to push it in with about ½ inch. All right, I'll push it in with about ½ inch like so, and I'll also push the side in as well. Then I'll top stitch on it like so, on this part as well, and also on this part as well, okay. So once I'm done with that, here is what I have, and I'm going to be putting that pocket on just one side, and which is the left side of my front body. So here I'll join the shoulder of the front and the back together, then I will stitch with ½ inch and repeat the same thing for the other side. So now we are going to be working on the collar. I'll measure the front collar first, from the joining of the shoulder to the notch part that we have, and what I have here is about 5.1 inches, okay. I'll put that down. Then I'll measure the back part as well. So I notched the midpoint of the back neckline, and I'll measure from the notch area to the shoulder joining part like so, and what I have here is about 3.5 inches, 3.6 inches, okay. So I've marked it like so, and we're going to be cutting out the neck, the collar here. So I have my back part here, and here will be for the front part. So I'm going to get my tape now, and I'll measure the 3.6, which is for the back neckline. I'll measure it like this from this starting line here, okay. I'll mark my 3.6 like so, then I'll measure 5.1 now, and I'll just put it down here, okay. Then on this part of the front part here, I'll come up by ½ inch. You can mark ½ inch, and you can also mark 3/4 inch, okay. So I'll just mark it like so, then I'll make a curve to the midpoint here. I hope you understand. So once I'm done with that, on this part here, I'll just come up here by 4 inches. I'll mark 4 inches from the ½ inch that we came up by here. Then on this other part here, I'll also mark 4 inches from the down part here. I hope you understand. So once I'm done with that, now I'm going to just connect the midpoint to the upper part so I can get it straight like so. Then once I'm done with that, now I'm going to connect with the straight part of the ruler like so. Then I'll use the curvy parts on this part the same way I've done to the down parts. I hope you understand. So just connect it like this, and then on this part here, I'm going to come out with ½ inch to extend it so that I can have a pointy edge at this part of the collar. I hope you understand. So now we are done with our collar, and I'm going to be cutting it out now, okay. So I'm just going to cut it out now like so. Then please do well to subscribe, like, and share my video. Thank you. So once I'm done doing this now, here I have it that I've cut it out on the fabric, and I have ½ inch all around, but I have this part here on a fold, and I have 2 pieces here. So you can iron your stay to this fabric here. All right, so I'll put that on the side, and here now I'm going to open up this. As I said earlier, I have these 2 pieces here, so I'll turn it now to the right side. They will face each other, right side facing each other like so. You can add your stay. So I'll place it like so, and I've notched the midpoint. Please notch the midpoints, all right, the same way I've done. So once I'm done with that, now I'm going to come here on this part here. I'll come up by ½ inch, and I'll stitch with ½ inch all around, my ½ inch allowance. Then I'll stitch all the way down here, and I'll also stitch down on this part here, leaving ½ inch the same way we did for the other side, okay. Leave ½ inch on both sides, all right. So I'm not going to turn the down part. So here's what I have after I was done, and this is the notch part. So I'll bring my bodice now and I'll place it here. This is the right side here, so I'll place the right side of the collar here. I'm going to pin it with the notch, the midpoint of the back and the midpoint of the collar. I'll pin them together. I hope you understand. So I'll pin them together like so, and I will also bring this side. This is the part that we notch on the bodies. I'll bring that ½ inch that we left. I'll place them together like so. Please make sure that whatever measurement you have on your collar, on your round neck bodice, is what you have on your collar, so you will not have any excess or any shortage. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the same thing for this other side as well, and I'm going to pin it down as well. Then I'll stitch all the way down with ½ inch. I hope you understand. So I'm just going to pin it down like so, and I'm going to stitch all the way with ½ inch. I hope you understand. So I'll drop the link of the detailed tutorial on the notch collar top that I have made, so you can check it out. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to use this part here to cover it up. Make sure that your collar is relaxing properly before stitching. Okay, make sure that it's relaxing. And so once I'm done with that, now I'm just going to push it in, just push in the rough edge. Then I'm going to top stitch with ½ inch all the way down at the edge. Top stitch tiny at the edge like this, with just top stitch on this edge like this. Okay, once you're done with that, now this, just put the side of the front and the side of the back together like this, and we're going to be making our curve. So on this part here now, on the down part here, I'm going to come up by 8 inches on the side here, 8 inches like so. Then from this part here, I'll come inward by 5 inches. Okay, I'm going to be making our curve like this, so I'll come in by 5 inches like so. Then I'm going to make the curve on the side of the shirt. I hope you understand. So this is how I made the curve, and I'm going to cut it out. So whatever you've done to this side, you're going to do it to the other side as well, after you have placed your front and your back pattern on your back bodies together. So on this side here, I'm going to pick up my chalk, and I'm going to just mark it up on the way like this, so it can blend on this part here. Okay, so just notch it like that, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side. All right, so now I'm going to stitch from this 10 inches here all the way down to the 8 inches here with my 1 inch allowance. Okay, so you can add your pocket here if you wish. All right, so once I'm done with that, now I'm going to come here. So remember, I have 10 inches here for my sleeve opening, so I'm going to be fixing the sleeve into this bodice now, just like a buba sleeve. Okay, so for my sleeve, I have my fabric here on a fold of 2. I have it on a fold of 2 here, and I've notched the midpoint. Okay, so now this is the width, the armhole area. This is it here. So I have marked my 10 inches here. Then the remaining 1 inches, I'm going to use 1 inch. I'm going to use it to stitch it down like so. I'll stitch the 1 inch down like so, and here is the length, and I'm going to mark my ½ inch that I'm going to use to join to the part that I have already, to the bodice. Okay, I'll mark ½ inch here. This is the length of the sleeve. I'll mark the ½ inch here. This is just like cutting out a buba sleeve. Then I'll measure what I have left. I have about 12.5. So the length of my sleeve is about 10 inches. So I'll mark my 10 inches like so. Then the remaining 2, so this is also 10 inches. I'll mark it here. So I measure what I have left, and what I have here is about 2.5. Then I'll just open it up like so, and I'm going to fold in the 2.5 inches like this. I hope you understand. So I'll fold it like this, and what I have here is 2.5. So I'll fold in ½ inch again. So the what I'm going to have left is going to be 2 inches. Okay, so I'll just top stitch on it like so, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for the second sleeve. So I'll fold it in once I'm done top stitching on this part here, and I'm going to hold in my 1 inch here. I hope you understand. If you have any question, do well to ask me. Okay, this is just like a buba sleeve. So I notched the midpoint here, and I'm going to open it to the right side and put it into the bodice from the right side like this. If you have the same measurements on your round armhole, it's going to fit in properly. So I'm going to pin the notch area and the joining on the shoulder like so. Then I'm going to fit it in like this, and I'm going to stitch from this part here all the way down, and I'm going to just stitch all the way down with 1 inch allowance, with ½ inch, sorry. Then I'm going to stop on this part. So I'll also put it in here. I'm going to stop on this part like so with my allowance. Okay, stop on this part here. So here is what we have after we are done, and you can see how neat and nice the sleeve is looking. It's just like this. So on this part here, you can hem, you can weave this part here, then just fold this in and finish it up. Okay, just finish it up like so, weave it and finish it up, and you can finish all the whole sides like that. So this is the right side of the shirt, and you're going to be making your buttonholes on this right side like this. Okay, I made about 9 buttonholes on this part here. All right, on the left side you can put your button on that part. So here is what we have after I was done. So if you find this video helpful, do not forget to subscribe, like and share. You can check my other videos. I'm going to drop the link of the notch collar blouse that I have, so you can check it out, and check out my other videos as well. You can find them helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you have watched up until this moment, thank you so much, and I'm going to see you on my next video. Bye.